like we're in hell or something.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse.
Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Downtime. My name is Nicholas Lamar Suter, and today I am flying solo. Oh, speaking of, one thing. I'm trying to get into the habit. Twisting that hourglass, and I don't know. I just like the idea of that thing going during the... Believe me, we're gonna need 2 or 3 of those, but anyways. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us. Commander McMillan is unable to make it tonight, so it's just going to be you and I. And we've had a few requests for a call-in show. We will be doing one at some point, but I just was setting that up before at this quickly. Not going to happen. We'll do a call-in show. You guys want to talk to myself, as Andering Lance, some Titan maybe, I don't know, we should get Titan in here. People can call. That's a bad idea. Anyways, not tonight. We are going to talk about some stuff, and I'm going to keep a bit more of an eye on the live chat, because I've got the time. I'm not actually... Oh, Jesus, yeah. Can I block... What state is he from, anyway? Dave, do you know? Hell is not a state. No, we are in a state of hell, but I don't think he's from... No, that's fine. Just get me another muffin. Thanks. No, blueberry. Okay. So, anyways, we'll get that sorted. He'll call in, I'll hit the mute button, it'll mute me, and then it'll be the Titan show. It's funny. Most of my life, people have, and first of all, I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller, that's just the way I work. I'm an educator, and I think some of the best ways to educate is to tell stories. So that's why I'm always friggin' telling stories. And most of my life, people said I'm unreasonably reasonable. I just apply the maximum amount of charity that I can to other people and to the other side. And I do, and sometimes it really is probably a bit too much. But having said that, I've tried to apply as much charity as I can to what I've been learning about Charlie Kirk, because I didn't know a lot about the guy, but it doesn't take a long time before you realize that as much as he really did seem rather charming, he struck me as rather cynical as well, and I'm not as impressed with his debates as other people seem to be. They at any rate. And I think that's unfortunate, because we could use more discussion on both sides of the aisle. Instead, we get stuff like this, and I'm going to play this clip for you. And what I find interesting is, for all of the left's faults, and I've always identified as independent, not a Democrat, not a Republican, independent. For all of the left's faults, and there are many, imagine a president on the left saying this. Obama, in the speech that, at the convention speech, the Democratic National Convention, what propelled him into fame was saying that there are no red states or blue states. It's just the United States. And so imagine someone on the left saying or doing something like this. Let me just quickly, once again, we'll hit the audio, make sure, yeah, because I know it sometimes gets a little quiet. So let's up the audio a bit and give that a shot.
Lower the flags to half-staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. Oh, the
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I didn't. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me. People make requests for the lowering of flag, and oftentimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up. Had the governor of Minnesota asked me to do that, I would have done that gladly.
And given the killing of Melissa Hortman, the attack on Paul Pelosi, the attack on Gabby Giffords, the attack on the Pennsylvania governor's mansion, why make the case that violence is only on one side? It seems to be taking place.
I didn't say it's on one side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way. But the radical left really is caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country. Okay.
All right, so that's his take on the radical left. They hate our country. Now, according to the National Institute of Justice, which was created a study from the Justice Department and published it. This was January 4th, 2024, and it was just taken down. We thought you might be interested, so a copy of the PDF of the entire study is on our Discord. In the production notes, so that you can go find it if you would like. But what they found was that since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideological motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists. Wow. Okay. Including 122 events that took more than 520 lives. During that same period, far-left extremists committed 42 ideological motivated attacks that took 78 lives. So this is what that looks like. And in case you'd like an easier graph to read, this also is what it looks like. This is going back all the way through 1975. So 9/11 is excluded from this, and there's obviously discussions to be had on religious extremism. Nobody's discussing that right now in the wake of the Kirk assassination. But having said that, so I don't know whether he knows those numbers. But he's probably been informed because somebody figured out that had to be taken down. It's not good optics for whatever it is that we know what he's trying to achieve. So I don't think he cares either way. He's going to blame the left, and he's coming for the far left. There was a video, and I've been unfortunately unable to find it, where somebody had asked him what he thinks of late night shows, and he said, well, we got to get rid of them. They're all bad. We've got to get rid of Colbert. We got to get rid of Kimmel. We got to get rid of, and he just started running through all of them. Seth Meyers just did a list, and if you look, the first two are down. Jimmy Kimmel is in an interesting position. Let's play the clip because we did not play it previously. We didn't have it previously. We covered it as breaking news. We didn't have the clip yet. We've got it now. So what I'd like to do is I would like to play this clip for you, and then we are going to play the response of the FCC chairman to this clip. So first is the clip. This is Jimmy Kimmel. It was a couple nights ago. And here we go.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
That was it. That was the joke that has gotten Kimmel ostensibly fired. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, there goes. I should have just played whatever music I wanted for the because we are going to get so tagged just for playing that, which is unfortunate. But since Google is, this is now. I mean, this happened before Trump was made aware, in my view. It happened so quickly that, and Trump has been installing loyalists over people who are qualified. And Kash Patel is a spectacular example, although they're starting to think that maybe in law enforcement qualifications are not a bad idea, especially if you're going to turn it into a fascist state. But that notwithstanding, RFK Jr. is another great example. It's loyalists. It's people who will put themselves before anything else for Trump. And Kash Patel, I believed him when he said that he really wanted to get to the bottom of the Epstein files. But once he did, he changed his tune pretty quickly. So even his own values, even going after a child rapist, which there is evidence, there is substantial evidence in court documents that are public that Trump was directly involved. There's testimony, we've played it. It's gruesome. But nothing to see here. Of the minimum 200 victims, which are confirmed by a court in New York, the only two perpetrators were Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Those were the only two perpetrators. There were no more, despite the victims testifying that there were dozens more. Kash Patel went up, literally just is today saying those were the only ones. So when Kimmel did that, the response from the FCC was this. This is the head of the FCC, and he was in an interview, and this was, I think, before Trump had even heard it. It was a late night thing. Trump was asleep, but the FCC, this was the interview that the head of the FCC was giving at the time, or right after.
It appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. There's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at.
Oh, sorry, I believe that got cut short. So he talks about FCC remedies. He talks about if the parent company doesn't do something. The parent company is Disney, which is about to buy a streaming service. They're trying to expand their what is it? I don't think they're trying to expand their empire, whether they're trying to reach more homes through the streaming service they already have, or if they're trying to get particular content. I don't know. I didn't recognize the name of the streaming service that they're trying to buy, but they are buying a streaming service. It's a very big purchase, and the FCC can kill the deal. So Disney tells ABC, tells Jimmy Kimmel he's suspended. Now, what's going to undo indefinitely? So that really means, indefinitely usually means we don't know for how long, but in this case, I think it means forever unless he apologizes. He has been asked to apologize. I don't know if he's going to or not. I suspect he's not going to. This is one, it's a tough call, because if he apologizes, he's capitulating to a utterly insane demand from the FCC. He has done nothing wrong. that joke was, oh, Donald Trump is torn up about this, and then a picture of Donald Trump saying, oh yeah, I'm doing fine. Did you see they're laying the groundwork for the ballroom? That's it. He was making a political comment, quite a valid one in my view, and it's the worst thing ever on television. The assassination of JFK has been on television too. We Americans saw a head being blown off on television. This was worse than that? Really? The FCC, dear Lord. Listen, watch Fox News for 5 minutes. There's a lot worse stuff on television than that joke. A lot more inflammatory stuff. A lot more... and this from the group... The interesting thing is, one of the things that I've been thinking about for a while, it's becoming less and less relevant, but actually how much we have in common, the left and the right. Neither side likes the government overspending. The Republicans are sitting there going, we have to cut spending, except when it comes to the military. And then when you point out that we spend more on the military than basically just about every other country in the world combined, they're like, yeah, but we need to spend that. Why do we need to spend that much? Most of those other people are allies. Of the top 26 spenders of military budgets, 24 are allies with the U.S. We're in NATO. Why do we have 90% of the world's foreign bases owned by the U.S.? We can strike anywhere, anytime. We could do that if we cut the number of bases in half. The amount of money we're spending in the U.S. military is astonishing. But to them, that's not the budget somehow. The budget is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. When they say they're spending too much on the budget, that's what they're talking about. And in recent history, only president ever to balance the budget, Clinton, a liberal. So, it's just how you define your terms. Both sides want to lower the budget, but they say, the military's off the table. That's not really a budget item. Okay, fine. So, both sides cancel the other. This idea that the right is, they're like, oh, well, the left is cancel culture. Okay, what do you call this? This is the most benign joke I've ever seen. And the FCC is willing to kill an entire merger over it. But the left is cancel culture. It's only the left that does it, yeah. Because that's what the left is about. So... having said all that, and then let's see. Titan just sent me this. Oh, right, thank you. We do have a picture. So Trump has been in England, so we're trying to kind of just take it a little easy on him while he's in England. So let me just see. Trump, hold on, this is from Titan. Nick, put this up right away. Please do not read, just put it up. Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. So I shouldn't have put that up. Bad Titan, no biscuit. All right. Titan sent me something else. I love being able to and Kimmel has refused to apologize. Kimmel, thank you, Titan, has refused to apologize. And it's one of those things where, I do see the argument for, look, just say the stupid apology and stay on the air. The problem is, they'll get you on the next joke and the next one and the next one. And Kimmel is obviously very aware of that. Him having a job is not really the point. Him getting money isn't the point. He's got enough money. He'll be fine. The point is he needs to be able to talk. He needs to be able to exercise freedom of expression. This is, by the way, now Porpoise just said in the live chat that Kimmel is suing. Is it Trump or the FCC? Whoever Kimmel is suing, he's probably going to lose, and he's going to win in the lower courts, but there's this huge division now between the lower courts and the Supreme Court. The lower courts seem to be reasonably intact. I haven't agreed with every lower court decision, but they've been making reasonably good decisions based on a concept that's interesting. Many of you have not heard of this. It's a little esoteric. You have to have gone to, you have to at least had a BA in college to understand, to know this concept, but it's called the law. It's a really cool concept. It's been around for a little while. Hasn't been around forever, but it's been around for a little while. And judges are supposed to rule based on the law. And that has stopped at the Supreme Court level. It has not stopped below that. And apparently the lower courts are getting more and more desperate because they're really supposed to get guidance from the Supreme Court, but all the guidance they're getting from the Supreme Court violates every ethical and legal precedent that exists. We have a common law system, which means we operate actually based on precedent. And all of these are getting upended, overturned, and in highly unethical ways. And the amount of power that is being passed from the judicial branch to the executive branch is stunning. One of the first things I ever learned in politics was, there's three branches, and the reason the system works is because every branch wants as much power as they can get, which means that they don't let any of the others take more power than they should have. That's a genius insight. This judicial branch is giving up as much power as it can to essentially what it wants to create as a unitary executive. No, even though the power of the purse belongs to Congress, we're going to say Trump can line item veto anything he wants by just not paying. Because if he wants to just not pay people, he can close the Department of Education, even though Congress created it. That's never been how it works. There's a law that says he can't do that. It's called impoundment. I forget who the last president was to try it, but the last president to try it, tried it, failed, and then Congress was just like, that ain't ever happening again. They created a law that says you can't do it, and the Justice Department was like, nah, we don't like, not the Justice Department, the Supreme Court is like, nah, we don't like the law. We're going to ignore it. So, and Trump murdered 14 people. That's another topic. We'll get there if we have time. So let me put up, let's see. Oh, I did want to talk about statesmen for a second. So let me put up Barack Obama. Oh, sorry. That was the wrong one again. I'm just, my fingers. Let's see how a statesman deals with this. And by the way, this is immensely challenging because this is an assault on the very foundations of this country. This is not, I'm not using hyperbole. I really wish I was. I'm not prone to hyperbole, but here we go.
I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong, but that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man with two small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation about who are we as a country. I can say that I disagree with the suggestion that my wife or Justice Jackson does not have adequate brain processing power. I can say that I disagree that Martin Luther King was awful. I can disagree with some of the broader suggestions that liberals and Democrats are promoting a conspiracy to displace whites and replace them by ushering in illegal immigrants. Those are all topics that we have to be able to discuss honestly and forthrightly, while we still insist that in that process of debate, we respect other people's right to say things that we profoundly disagree with. That's how we should approach this.
And so that's what a statesman is. And I'm sad that the last statesman that I saw on the right was John McCain, because I also disagreed with him profoundly, and I find it's still one of my pleasures of recent modern history that Obama gave the eulogy at McCain's funeral, and Trump was not invited. Every former president but Trump was invited. Holy Spackle has said something here that I think needs to be said. Everybody is getting bowled over, and it has been so upsetting. So yesterday's show, day before, they were all... I started on one of the breaking news, I started to get hot. And I'm going to get hot again, because this stuff is upsetting. Spackle is correct. And it was funny, because it was right after the show, and I asked a friend, I said, I don't even know why I was getting so angry. And my friend said, because it's scary. I was like, oh shit. Yep. That's why I'm angry. Because it's the fear response. You know, icons of, I mean, this must be to some extent what it was like around McCarthyism. And believe me, if it stops at McCarthyism, that'll be great compared to where it looks like it's headed to me. It looks like it's headed far worse than just McCarthyism. And somebody else pointed this out in the live chat too. The bullying, the idea that even the smallest slight against Trump, including pointing out that he really didn't seem as bothered by Kirk's death as one would think. I mean, he was asked about it. He's like, I'm doing fine. Let's look at what we're building over here. You know, that, and we talked about, I mean, I remember when Egypt banned comedy. Just comedy. You couldn't tell jokes, and it was because a comedian made fun of, was it Erdogan? No, I think Erdogan is Turkey. We'll figure out who it was, but made fun of the head of what's his name of Egypt. Oh dear Lord. Anyways, made fun of him, so he just banned comedy, and it is amazing that comedy is such a healing thing. And I think it's a healing thing because it is the best antidote to fear. I'm not going to play, I've got it, but I'm not going to play it. The White House having put up the raid on the home of the subway thrower. This is the man who threw a foot-long Subway sandwich at an ICE agent. If it was a 6-inch, I think maybe we wouldn't have gotten so upset, but it was a foot long. And he had double meat on. Do you know what double meat can do to a ballistic vest? Yeah, probably nothing. But anyways, when this guy did that, they chased him down, they grabbed him. Now, it turned out he actually worked for the government, which a lot of people in D.C. do. And he got fired, which is fine. Actually, probably should have been, because it is assault on an officer. Okay, fine. I don't know if he should have been or shouldn't have. I don't care. What I do know is that his attorney said, look, he'll turn himself in. We'll deal with the assault charge, knock it down to a misdemeanor, whatever. It's not a big deal. Instead, they sent 34 agents to his house, or his apartment, and you can see them going up the stairs of the apartment complex. They come in through the door, and there's lights, and then they added this clack on, It sounds like the Death Star. And this goes up on the White House page. And they're like, if you commit a crime, he will get... He threw a Subway foot-long, all meat, maybe a little pastrami in there, a tomato maybe, at an ICE agent. Or, actually, it was National Guard, sorry. And they had to do that, but that's what they're doing. They have to overreact to everything so that everybody is terrified to say or do anything. You want to talk about cancel culture? Holy smoke, the right has nothing on the left. Nothing on the left. Or sorry, the other way around. The left has nothing on the right. I mean, canceling J.K. Rowling or pick. I guess people are upset because Majors was canceled. Okay. What is this? What's happening to Jimmy Kimmel? The entire Disney merger is going to go down if Kimmel doesn't apologize for a rather banal joke. I didn't even think it was that funny. In fact, that's the reason people are upset. We're going to play it one more time because I'm just that stupid when it comes to demonetizing my channel. We're going to play it one more time because I think it's worth looking. This joke, first of all, a child could tell you is not making fun of Charlie Kirk. It kind of pokes a little fun at the far right, but that's actually not really the main target of the joke. It's not even really a joke. It's satire. He is making fun of the President of the United States and pointing out that if he's really in mourning, it doesn't show. Ooh. I'm really glad Trump has such a thick skin and is such a manly man. I would hate to see what it was like if Trump were weak and scared and powerless and helpless. We're going to play it again. Here we go. And I think I already got the audio fixed, so...
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
That makes Donald Trump look like an idiot. And I don't like making people look like an idiot unless they happen to be an idiot, in which case it's maybe not a bad thing. And whether they are or aren't an idiot, if you're the president of the United States, you're supposed to have a little thicker skin than that. That's what all this is about. Yeah. So, somebody did ask in the live chat. I don't know what nationality the sub was. They're looking into it. It may have had ties to what is it? Al-Qaeda and or that we don't know. We just don't know. So I think it's early to speculate on the nationality of the sub, and let's not discuss that in the live chat right now, please, because I think we just need to. And I'd like to point out the sub did not survive. Well, you see that's why everybody's thinking it was a suicide attack, right? Because the sub did not survive the attack. It just like that was bad. Oh, I'm gonna be demonetized now by the left and the right. I should not have said that. All right, moving on. Here's the interesting thing. We did a brief. Not a brief. We did a 2.5 hour show on why this Charlie Kirk thing is so confusing. And the reason it's confusing is the more you get into it, the more you realize there was more motive on the right to assassinate him than on the left. And again, we've covered this. The right has a much greater tendency to assassinate people than the left. I made that point on the other show. When we want to talk about political assassinations, it tends to be the people on the left who have to worry about it more. It's people on the right who use language like, we're going to target them. And what was it? Sarah Palin doing all the bullseyes on every Democrat and so on and so forth. And they laugh when liberals say, please don't use that language. And now they're like, you can't use that language. Pick a side. So, Jesus, I don't even remember. Oh yeah. So here, it turns out, and I did not know very much about this. The Groyper Wars, Nick Fuentes. I try to stay away from Nick Fuentes. Unfortunately, I have to do research, so sometimes I have to, but, it's just like, I was unaware that he had he had used violent language about Charlie Kirk on the grounds that Kirk was not fascist enough. Didn't see that coming. How bad is it when, okay. That was his issue, and he actually sent people to infiltrate Kirk's university events and to troll him and to try to disrupt the events. And he had been doing this for at least a year and a half, maybe more. I don't really, again, try really not to read or look at this stuff because then it gets into the brain and then it sticks there, and I just don't like that. So, at any rate. Let me, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. That fire is distracting me. Normally I don't hear it too much, but, and it's a little less cozy without the commander here. Now I stopped the fire and I'm even more distracted. So there were people on the right. Obviously, people on the left didn't like him. The left is less likely to use political violence. They are more likely to destroy things. And that's just Greenpeace, again, goes and destroys a lot of it. And that's eco-terrorism, so on and so forth. But they usually go out of their way to make sure that nobody gets hurt. So, each side has its villains. But the left is still capable of, and again, let me reiterate what I said earlier. There are crazies on both sides. There are radicals on both sides. There are reasons why you tend to get more radicals that are willing to commit violence on the right. It's just ideological reasons. It makes perfect sense when you get into it. They're the pro-guns, they're the pro. We're not going to have that debate right now. On the left, you can get people who and this is why we've talked. I have friends who have said in the past year, we're in a war, and they start using war language. I don't like using war language, and the reason is it's more likely to cause a war. Are we in a cold civil war? Yeah, we've had that discussion with Lance. I think you could easily say we've been there for a little while now. I'd rather it not become a hot one. So I try to tamp down the war language, but there are people who say, yeah, it's a war, and we need to go out and do something about it. And there are people on the left who say that. There's many more on the right, especially now. That's why people have suggested, this could be a false flag. So there's another motive right there. Turns out, Charlie Kirk was also very much for the release of the Epstein files. So any presidents in the Epstein file would have a motive, including presidents who murdered what appears to be, I have to say appears, it looks like, well, no, I can find no way around saying that Trump murdered 14 people. The reason is the boats that he ordered struck were civilian boats. So even if they were drug traffickers who, even if they were can you be genocidal and not be in the military? I think so. So even if they were genocidal drug traffickers, if they're civilian and not part of a military, and if they're unarmed, and he ordered the strike when the boat could have been interdicted, that's murder, and that's murder under international law. That's murder under U.S. law. And applying the most charity I can't find a way around calling it murder. I can't find a legal way to get there. So who knows? He certainly doesn't mind genocide. He's been a supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu, which brings me to another interesting story. People who watch In Time have to get used to the fact that I am a little ADHD, so I interrupt myself on topics more than once. So let me see if I can finish this one. There were motives on all sides. But one of the interesting things is that Russian state TV has come out and said that they believe, is it that they actually believe, let me see what they said. They floated the theory that Trump himself planned Kirk's assassination. This is extraordinarily interesting for the following reason. Nothing goes on state TV in Russia without Putin's approval. More than that, they don't really care who killed Kirk. They don't care at all. Which means if they're putting that on TV, it's because Putin told them to. It's not just they got permission, Putin told them to. So Putin had Russian state TV float the idea that Trump plotted the assassination. If you're Trump, you are really pissed about this because you thought you were buddy-buddy with Putin. Doesn't matter for the sake of this discussion whether Trump had anything to do with it or not. You're really pissed because Putin just floated on state television that you were behind the assassination, possibly. Holy smokes. So Trump has come out, he came out yesterday, I think, and said that the Ukraine war, as it turns out, is going to be a little harder to solve than he thought, and that he is disappointed in Putin. This was before state TV came out and said, so Trump steps up to Putin and says, I'm disappointed in Putin, and 4 to 8 hours later, Russian state TV comes out, it's possible that Trump was involved in the Kirk assassination. So Putin's playing the same game with Trump that Trump is trying to play with everybody else, which is you talk badly about me, and there are going to be some serious consequences. Trump wishes he was Putin. Well, Trump is trying to turn us all into Soviet, actually he's trying to turn, I'm sorry, I'm using hyperbole. He's trying to turn us into Nazi Germany. So that's an interesting one. We're going to follow that on the Discord. We're going to see where that goes. But because the Russian state media is a tool of Putin, you can get a decent idea of where Putin's head's at by how he uses that tool. And that's an interesting use of it. Okay. So I think the bromance is over. I think you're not going to see a lot done by Trump because, as we've said before, we believe both that Donald Trump owes Putin a huge amount of money. We don't even believe we know this. And the reason we know this is because the Deutsche Bank records are public. Deutsche Bank has loaned Trump money 5 times to the tune of $22 billion. That's billion with a B. When he declared bankruptcy, also with a B, bankruptcy, repeatedly. I think he did that 5 times too. When he declared bankruptcy, no bank in the U.S., England, anywhere in the Eastern world would loan him any more money because he declared bankruptcy. He had his debts discharged, and they didn't get their money back. Bank of Moscow did. Bank of Moscow has backed his loan with Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank isn't even having the interest payments from Donald Trump. They're not even asking him for the interest payments. They're getting them directly from Moscow. So Moscow is paying the interest payments and any of the payments on the principal of the debt is all being paid by Moscow. They're not even asking Trump for it. But if Moscow stops, Trump is liable for it all of it. So A, he owes Putin $22 billion. B, there was evidence before this that they have compromat on him. I have no doubt that they do. They've got compromat on a lot of people, and that's one of their specialties. And we had evidence they had compromat on them, and they do both the carrot and the stick just like everybody else. So they're like, we'll give you lots of money, and we won't destroy your life with our compromat if you just do as you're told. So, think I'm wrong? Let's see what Trump does next. Because Putin just said there's a possibility that Trump assassinated what a person that Trump says was a close friend. I think Trump isn't going to even mention it. Now, why Putin's television station gets to say that and Jimmy Kimmel can't make a joke about Trump not really being, I don't know. But we'll see how that plays out. The other interesting one, and this is just, oh dear. First of all, so Tucker Carlson has come out and is hitting the Epstein files again and says that they need to be released and is saying that the U.S. is turning into a fascist country. Okay, that's weird. And he just, let me rephrase that. He said it as a bad thing, which I was not expecting. Now, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has called what's happening in Gaza a, quote, genocide on a social media post, and appears to be the first Republican in Congress to use that term in relation to starving 2.1 million people to death. So first of all, bravo. It must have taken a lot of courage. Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's twice now. She's been on the side. Was she hit on the head? Was I hit? Is all this a dream? Am I dreaming? That's twice now. Marjorie Taylor Greene was standing with the victims of Epstein, pointing out that there is no possible way that there's a minimum of 200 victims. All of them say multiple people were involved, and the FBI is sitting there going, nope, only 2 people, and we got them both. One's dead, the other's in jail. Well, soon to be released, but, I mean, currently in jail. Sex trafficking, as it turns out, is just above jaywalking on the crime list, so she's going to be released any day now. So, I'm really glad. I realized somebody was saying about the numbers on the show and could they get higher. The problem is my dry sense of humor. People are going to sit there and say, did he just say, no, it's a joke. It's a joke. It was, I have a dry wit. She said, quote, it's the most truthful and easiest thing to say that October 7th in Israel was horrific and all the hostages must be returned. But so is the genocide, humanitarian crisis, and starvation happening in Gaza. Welcome, Miss Green. It took you a while to get here. How many people have to die? I am glad somebody from the right has joined this side, but I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a little disappointed. It took her 6 to 8 months minimum, depending on how aggressive you want to get on. I mean, people have been dying there for a while, but she's here, so I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. At any rate, what is it? She was replying to Republican Representative Randy Fine. Do you want to guess what state he's from? I'll give you the line and you can guess the state. There is no starvation. Everything about the Palestinian cause is a lie. Release the hostages. Until then, starve away. That was a Republican Representative Randy Fine of Florida. I believe a tour can be arranged if he'd like. I don't think he's got the stomach for it. Marjorie Taylor, holy smoke. It's almost like she found God. All right. A couple other things in the news. The 11 state and city lawmakers who were arrested by Department of Homeland Security for attempting to do, for the at least the state ones, I believe they're mandated to do inspections of the ICE facility. They attempted to do an inspection. They were arrested and have been locked up for trying to check on the facility. I will carry that. I mean, we'll see what happened. We have the story. We're not going to get into it right now. It's on our Discord. And for those of you who don't know how the show works, we have a Discord. We do have just news channels so you can see what's going on. And, sometimes a lot of time we get breaking before other people. We scour social media and, we had finished our coverage of Prigozhin's invasion of Russia before any mainstream media had started covering it. That includes ABC, CNN, Fox News, and even Al Jazeera. We beat them all. So the only other one that is really concerning, and I think this is what I was sort of talking about when I was saying this about this tension that we're all feeling. And the problem is tension begets tension. Once something like this starts to snowball, it takes a tremendous amount of active energy to stop it. And so that's why de-escalation is important, but it's hard because a lot of them don't want to de-escalate, and they say we don't want to de-escalate, and again, that's how things get worse. So I'm hoping, again, I am telling jokes at the expense of other people, but isn't that better than violence? Just a thought. Don't want to be too liberal. No, I won't get into that analogy. The White House readies an executive order on political violence as liberal groups sound warning. Our understanding is that he is going to attack, and he's already said this, it's the left-leaning nonprofits that are a problem. Wow. Just wow. I imagine the ACLU, any number of other organizations are going to be on there. He's made it clear, and what is it? J.D. Vance said the statistics all show that most of the violence comes from the left. That's just a bold-faced lie. It's a bold-faced lie. And it's really unfortunate that conservatives who consider themselves the party of common sense, at least last I checked, don't care that it's a lie. You should care at some point, because once objective reality is up for grabs, that's it. Country's done. And with RFK talking about, 99% of scientists agree on this, but since I disagree, and, I count as two because the worm gets a vote, no. Even Trump is saying he's pulling too many vaccinations. So we're going to see what he does. We're going to see a couple of executive orders. A lot of these executive orders have no legal authority. He's made executive orders that impinge on the territory exclusively covered by either the judicial or the legislative branches. That has not stopped those orders from being executed and being respected by said branches. It's really bad. He stacked the court. We knew he stacked the court. We're starting to see the consequences of that. My hope had been that because the Supreme Court is a lifetime appointment, once they're in there, he can't get them out. So they can do whatever they want. Why listen to Trump? Again, he knows how to spot loyalty. And they're all loyal to him, we know Thomas is crooked as hell. So Alito's a reasonably distant second, actually. Alito's really corrupt, but Thomas, wow. At any rate, he's going to issue some executive orders, and they're going to be attacking left-wing organizations. He's already, PBS is because got to get rid of PBS. So he's got that one handled. That's good. Oscar the Grouch is, that's why we have ICE. He encourages homelessness is the problem. He teaches people that you should be homeless, and I don't even know where to go. I don't know what the thinking is there. All right, I'm gonna check the live chat real quick. I'm gonna see if we got any super chats or anything like that, and then I think we'll probably call it a show. Like I said, Lance was unfortunately not able to show up, but these are some of the things I wanted to talk about. I think the big takeaways are we know what statesmanship looks like and what it doesn't, and it's odd that in Republican circles, the president after president after president has actually become less and less statesman-like. In the last, George W. Bush was awfully buffoonish. His dad certainly was not. You may or may not agree with their politics, but his dad was a statesman. Obama was a statesman. Trump, I don't know what he is. He's not a businessman. He's a mafioso. That's how he thinks. That's how he acts. Everything is, and you don't mock the mafioso. That's why he's replying the way he is. He thinks he's Don Corleone. He wants to be Don Corleone. He's jealous of the fact that Putin's better at it than he is. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. We're a news channel. We also do some punditry, and this is After Dark. It's a little more laid back, so you're going to get me with my hair down a bit more. So let's see. Dibs on the Snuffleupagus. Well, what is a Snuffleupagus anyway? See, that's the thing. Snuffleupagus is like literally an alien. Like the Snuffleupagus, what is a Snuffleupagus? He's not an elephant. He's not a woolly mammoth. I don't think he's from Earth. I think that my guess is that's the objection, but I could be wrong. All right. He is an elephant? A brown, fuzzy elephant. Well, Big Bird's a little unbelievable too, so okay. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you guys. Our next scheduled show is Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. I try to avoid saying that now, because every time I say that, we go to breaking, and we get breaking like during the credits. I'm cutting out the credits so that we don't get it's just gonna be a bumper out. That's it. And we won't get breaking during the credits, because that has happened way too many times. We just got to go live again. So, genuinely, we're all nervous. We've seen things like this in history books, but we've never really seen it up close. And so that's why I hope all of you cherish the positive relationships that you have, maybe with your kids or spouse or parents, maybe with your coworkers, maybe with a troll head mod who sends you inappropriate memes all the time and you accidentally air on show. Whoever it is, don't forget to try to have fun. Don't forget to try to enjoy life. That's what it's there for. And remember that there's good people out there. Fewer of them than would like. But there's good people out there. And as long as we keep talking about it and keep highlighting it and keep fighting the way we're fighting, which is to talk and laugh and mock little Mussolini wannabe there, the orange, the marmalade Mussolini, we're making progress. So thank you very much for joining us. Please do like and subscribe. And if you like the content, and if there are previous episodes that we've covered, stuff that you like, share it. That really does help us out. Thank you all very much. We will see you in the Discord and see you Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or if we have any breaking. Have a good night all.